How's it going, guys? I'm going to be doing this new little thing that I think benefit you a lot, and I could probably push these out a lot more and give you some valuable information while entertaining you guys simultaneously. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, this is basically a fitness Q&A, but on the alongside I'm going to be playing something like Smash Brothers Melee, just for the sole fact that it'll entertain you guys while I sit there and ramble and give you my personal take and my personal experience with some of these questions that you guys may have. So, question number one is keto diet versus high carb. So I'm assuming that what he means by high carb, he also means just low fat versus high fat. Okay. First of all, I think if you are a normal individual that doesn't have any health conditions that may force you to do something like keto or something like high carb, low fat, I personally believe balance is key. You're thinking, well, wait, but isn't there a lot of benefits just to cutting out carbs in general? Yeah, there's benefits for both. There's benefits for both cutting out carbs and fats. But I find that for sustainability and practicality, you want to have a balanced diet. All right, it's gonna be really difficult for you to enjoy life sitting there restricting, carbs or restricting fats. And that's not the way you want to live, guys. It doesn't matter. And even if your goal was, oh, I want fat loss, so I'm gonna cut out fats because fat makes me fat, or I'm gonna cut out carbs because carbs make me fat. No, it doesn't fucking matter. Because you know this little thing called the law of thermodynamics, calories in, calories out, the very fundamentals of the universe. Well, laws of the universe. So anyways, the key is you want to just be in a calorie deficit. So you find out how much you're burning a day, and subtract 10 to 20%. If you're trying to lose weight, because if you go, you can go higher than 20%, but you can't do it for very long because then you're going to have some psychological issues and physiological issues that might result in you sabotaging your results. But that's another topic in general. So the best answer I can also say is find out which one you work better on. I say for dieting experiments, you at least want to do about 2 weeks into the diet to really know how you truly feel, and find out which one you run better on, and honestly just stick with that. The one that makes you feel better, the one that makes you perform better is the better one, without a doubt. So let's find another question for you guys. Workout more. Okay, so workout more frequently, lower volume in comparison to less volume but more frequently. Well, that's all dependent on the individual. Because if you have the time to work out every single day, go ahead. Go do that. Because technically that one will produce better results. Because if you sit there and try to schedule your life around working out 6 days a week when it's not sustainable, then you're obviously going to have some issues. But you can find a way to, maybe add more volume into a single session, but lower the frequency, then do that. That's all lifestyle oriented. There's no right or wrong answer to that. So, but again, that's just all personal preference and whether or not you can sustain it. Let's move to another question. Should you get lean first or should you bulk first? Well, that is all dependent on you. Again, I'm going to say this a lot to you guys because fitness is a very personal thing and it's also personal preference, but I'm assuming that most of you guys are out getting aesthetic as balls or something. Yeah, anyways. Getting lean is probably one of the bigger components to looking aesthetic, without a doubt. Regardless of muscle mass, if you're fat, if you're 20% body fat, no matter how much muscle mass you have, you're going to look pretty, chubby. But, and for instance, even if you have 10 pounds of muscle on your frame, but you're 10% body fat, you're going to look pretty fucking good. You're going to look better than 90% of the population, without a doubt. But that's just my personal take. Some people have different preferences, but in terms of the Greek god aesthetic look, then obviously the latter is your better option. So how much should you cut and how much should you bulk? Well, again, I say look at your body fat percentage. If you're 20% body fat when starting, you obviously want to cut down to around, I say honestly, unless you have at least a year of training underneath your belt, you probably shouldn't be focusing on trying to get super shredded at first. I think getting shredded should be a result of after at least a year of training, because that's when you'll build muscle more optimally, and you'll look just better in general if you just give yourself at least a year. I know you guys don't want to wait a year. You guys want results now, but honestly, if you can just stay within the 50% body fat range within your first year of training, you're gonna not regret it, and you're gonna be way happier with your results. So there you go, 50% body fat at least for a year, and then depending on what route you want to go, bigger, fluffier, and obviously increase body fat. But want to look aesthetic as hell, 10% body fat. Don't go any lower than that. Health issues, likewise. So, next question. Okay, so I'm having a problem finding my maintenance because the calculators are giving me different results, and I eat that, and I gain more weight. Okay, so for that instance, you want to stop using a fucking calculator. If you're finding that you're gaining weight, obviously you're in a surplus. Don't listen to that calculator because, and the rate at which you're gaining weight is, you'll have a pretty good idea of like what your energy expenditure is. Because if you're gaining a pound a week, that's obvious that you're in a 500 calorie surplus at least a day, or you're in a 3,500 calorie surplus for an entire week. So what you want to do is cut off 500 calories to your day, and then boom, that's your maintenance. And if you like have a really hard time like staying low, even like with your new maintenance, because I know a lot of people that will diet down to 8% body fat, but then even when they eat maintenance, they're just starving all the time. Well, first of all, you're gonna have to accept the fact that you can't maintain 8% body fat without drugs most of the time. Or if you want to maintain 8% body fat, you gotta accept the fact that you're probably not gonna look any better if you're just staying with that look for the rest of your life, because you can't really put on muscle, you can't really put on a lot of strength at that low level of body fat without increasing calories and increasing weight. But there you go, that's how you would find it. Experiment, look at the scale, gaining a pound, cut out 500 calories a day. If you're still losing weight, increase calories by how much you're still losing. So there you go, pretty easy. Machines versus free weights. Free weights all the way, guys. Like machines are kind of fucking evil in a sense, because even though it might be good for like the older people and like all that fun stuff, I would still advocate older people use cables in comparison to machines. Machines, so you know how they're fixed. Like you can't really move around in them, and that's a really bad thing in general because it doesn't go with your anthropometry. And what's that? It's basically your body's own physical build. So let's say you have longer limbs, so something like the shoulder press machine is awkward as shit to use because it's just not built for you. It's not built for everyone. So I had that issue. Or like the shoulder press machine for working out, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. I have a sharp pain right here in my acromion every time I use it, just because it's just an awkward way it's just really built awkwardly. So free weights, and if you're worried about getting muscular imbalances, then I really advocate invest in a pair of resistance bands, because let's say like you're benching, one arm's coming up faster than the other, but what the bands would do is it would kind of force this back down to keep this unstable. Like you have to be stable throughout the whole movement, and that's why I think bands are the #1 key to fixing muscular imbalances. Or unilateral work, aka so like, I have my right arm is bigger than my left. Well, if you focus on stuff like, I don't know, standing alternating dumbbell curls, sorry guys, ignore that, then you probably fix most of your muscular imbalances, but I'd still recommend resistance bands are probably the #1 way to fix muscular imbalances. So, next question. Sport and weight training in the same, doing both, and how to maintain that. So obviously with stuff like MMA or training with other things, like if you're doing like free running parkour, or you're doing whatever, you're doing something else other than just weight training, then obviously you gotta make adjustments for your weight training. You probably can't handle your current routine if you're going to the gym every day just not feeling recovered. And at that point, you guys just really gotta You gotta choose. You gotta pick. Are you a weightlifter, or are you the sport that you claim that you're trying to, be proficient in? Because if you are okay with not getting stronger in the gym, and you're okay with just maintaining your physique, it's so easy to maintain. You can maintain pretty damn easy, and you can still do your mixed martial arts or whatever you're doing for other than weightlifting, because it's gonna be very hard for you to actually build strength and put on muscle while you're doing something like high aerobic activity that is high impact as well, without affecting your recovery. So if you do decide that you're gonna be playing a different sport, then you can reduce volume in your weight training and you can maintain. But if you really wanna, if it's the other way around, if one's like for instance, if weight training is your higher priority over your sport, then obviously then cut back a little bit on the sport so you can recover properly. So it's all what you want to do. What you want to do first. Okay, so let's move on to next question. Protein recommendations. Well, that's also very personal because some people might need more than others, or vice versa. Some people might need less than others. But I say the range would be, Eric Helms made it. It's 0.82 grams per pound of body weight, or up to 1.4 grams per pound of body weight. The reason why it's a range is because, one, it depends on what state you're in. If you're bulking or if you're bulking or you're cutting, because obviously that if you're bulking, you don't need as much protein because you're already in a caloric surplus and you don't really have much state of being in a catabolistic state. But in comparison to if you're, cutting, you want to increase protein, so it preserves muscle better and it's more satiating, so you don't have the urge to binge as much. So there's that. Let's see, next question. So this question is kind of very science. So you can't kill fat cells, but they multiply and they grow. Yes, and the question was related to that was for you can't kill fat cells, so it's impossible to actually lose fat. That's the topic for that would be. Okay, think about this. Cells are fucking small, all right? They're very, 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 very small. So, even if you have multiple fat cells, like you guys see it all the time. If someone's weighing 300 pounds, it's not hard. They can go down. They can still get down to 150. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, yeah, they're gonna have just as many fat cells as they were at the heaviest body weight in comparison to they were now, but the only main difference between there's no aesthetic difference, basically, first of all, but the main proponent that might make it more difficult for you to stay lean is the fact that having a higher fat cell count will actually increase your appetite because it wants to, be rejuvenated. The fat cells want to be full. They want energy. They just want to be just big. They just want to feel like they have stuff to run off of. So when you have a bunch of shrunken fat cells in your body, of course your cravings are going to go higher in comparison to someone that's less fat cells, but they're probably more full in general anyway. So anyways, let's go on to the next question. So bench press versus bench press versus push-ups. Well, I say for practicality standpoint, push-ups are a lot easier to, just you can do them anywhere. That's the cool thing about push-ups, is that you can do them anywhere. The hard part, though, is progressively overloading on push-ups for actually getting size or stronger. I mean, the only way you can really progress on push-ups is, either find a way to increase range of motion, which is still very limited because you'd probably have to do them off of plyo boxes or something. Or do harder variations of push-ups, so build your way up to one arm incline push-ups or handstand push-ups, just crazy shit like that. But in comparison to bench work, just keep adding weight, and bada boom, magic, you get bigger and you get stronger. But which one do I like more? studies do kind of show that close chain movements are better for activating more muscle recruitment. And close chain meaning that your hands are always in a fixed position and you're not really moving around as much in comparison to, like, let's say if you're doing bench press, so like you're all over the fucking place. But with push-ups, you're kind of planted and you're just moving your body up and down. So, I mean, why not do both? If you find that you like doing push-ups more than bench press, I'd honestly say it doesn't fucking matter. Do them. Do them if you like them. Do what you like to do. And if you can, I would say weighted dips are probably even better than bench press anyway. So, next question. I'm losing muscle. Why? Well, there's a lot of factors, but that's a very blunt question. The number one reason why you probably are losing muscle is, number one, you're not keeping up with your strength adaptation. Your strength in general is lower, so you lose muscle because of it. And you may be asking, why is my strength lower? Well, first of all, it's probably either dieting way too low, you're not recovering enough for the gym, and there you go. Actually, just probably those two components: recovery and not eating properly. Next question. Should I recomp? Recomping is cute, to say so the least. It can only be done, it can be done, everyone can do it. Everyone can recomp. But should you do it? That's a different question entirely. Because I'd say, obviously, bulk cut cycles are way more efficient in comparison to actually getting results. Where recomping, it takes a long ass time to see results. But, you know, again, you already know that if you can add 50 pounds to your bench, then obviously your chest is going to grow. I mean, clearly, progressive overload. I mean, you're creating an adaptation for your body to grow and build more muscle. But, recomping, it's the idea that you're basically eating maintenance, or you're cycling calories on training days and off days to, you know, build muscle and lose fat at the same time. The main issue is that even in a 24-hour window, your body doesn't fucking know whether or not it's getting enough calories or not. That's why people will magically just drop a shit ton of weight at a random beginning of a week, because that shit takes time. It's not on off switch. It's like, okay, 24 hours is up. Okay, build muscle. Build a little bit of muscle. No, it's like a long period of time. It takes a while, guys. So that's why I don't think cycling calories on train days and off days is really that effective anyway, because even in a 24-hour window, it's not even that fucking comparable to anything else. So, traditional bulk cut, but don't go excessive. I would say max surplus you'll ever need is fucking 200 calories. If you're a beginner, 300, intermediate 400, intermediate 200-ish, advanced very, 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 very slight surplus, but just focus on progressive overload. So, anyways, next question. Post-workout protein, not necessary. Next question. High-intensity interval training frequently. I wouldn't recommend doing it frequently. I recommend doing it maybe, if anything, I recommend doing things like sprints and high-intensity interval training on leg workout days, because it's high impact and it's just like resistance training. If you think like this, you're doing 30 seconds of sprints and you walk a minute. Doesn't that kind of sound like weight training? Doesn't that kind of sound like you taking a break for 2 seconds after doing a set of squats? So I think it does. And what this will do, I mean, it's high impact, so recovery is obviously gonna be very hindered. So, if anything, I recommend doing high intensity interval training on lower workout days, because it's gonna probably result in the same hypertrophy anyway. But if for other days that you're not training, obviously low intensity steady state cardio is way better. Let's do one more question. Was I treated differently after fitness took over my life? Immensely. Immensely. That's not even a question. That's just like, it will happen. It will happen. You'll be completely treated differently. And so the reason, okay, for better or worse, overall, I'd say better. But it's kind of weird. You're gonna find people that will like kind of really like you, or they're gonna find people that like really hate you. And that's what fitness has so far brought to me and my relationships with other people, is that I feel like I have this pristine knowledge that I can help people out, and that's my plan, that's my goal. I just want to help as many people as I can and get them, happy, healthy, and just live life. That's my motto, just live life the way you want to, and try to be happy. And I feel like happiness it starts within, obviously. So that's why I advocate fitness being your first thing, because it's just so many beautiful things that happen when you do incorporate it into your life. So I remember in high school, well, actually, never mind. As a kid in general, growing up, I always kind of got teased for like being overweight. I was an overweight kid, and like it didn't really like bother me. It's like yeah, I'm overweight, but it's like everyone's overweight basically, and so it never like really like bugged me to the degree. And then it's just like high school hits, and then high school hits. You try to build relationships with other people, and things just don't work out. But then it's just you kind of develop your own fantasy where it's like no matter how self-righteous you are, sorry, not self-righteous, how selfless you are, and how much you think you actually really do offer to the world, people are still going to reject you, no matter what. But there's many turning points though why I incorporated fitness into my life. Number one was that I had clinical depression. I was suicidal at one point, and so I was taking antidepressants, and then I just had an epiphany. It was like, what kind of life is this? What kind of life this is not a life I want to live. So I decided to stop playing the victim, because let's be honest, guys, most people that have depression, they're just being victimizers. And that's why it's just, whenever I do see someone that's depressed, I try to give them my own sense of knowledge, and I tell them straight up, it's like, I know exactly what you're going through. I know it. Everyone that's depressed, I know exactly what you're going through. And I think, funny enough, I feel like people that are depressed, they feel like their experience is like one of the most unique fucking things in the world. They think that only they're like this depressed. No, guys, everyone's fucking depressed. Everyone gets that fucking depressed. Nothing's new. Especially if you're a teenager, you edgelords. But anyways, helping me stop depression was my number one thing for fitness. I picked on a little bit teased in high school. I got friend zoned a lot, but I mean that's not like really a big thing, but it was just like kind of something that kind of pushed me a little bit. And my other than depression, I say my like desire for getting stronger. It was just my desire for just becoming the strongest version of myself. It was like becoming the best version of myself, and I'm thinking, well, how can I do that? So mentally, I just sit here and I just study. I keep pushing more. I keep trying to get as much knowledge as I possibly can. I go to the gym. I try to implement that knowledge and build the body I want. I try to help out as many people as I can. And regardless whether or not I'm treated correctly by other people or whether or not they appreciate my efforts, that doesn't matter, because I actually implement the stuff I use. So, in terms of other people treating you differently, I've had plenty of people praise me for what I do. I've had, and in turn, I've also had a lot of people kind of give me shit for what I do. Like, oh, it's all you do is work out. But, and the thing is that if you do get made fun of for, oh, you work out, you're really like, you're a narcissist because you're really into your body. But the question is that really a bad thing? Is it really a bad thing to strive for self-development? Because I'll tell you this right now, the people that call you narcissists are depressed. Then they're angry with themselves because they can never achieve the same thing that you probably can. So I say ignore people that try to hate on you, because most of the time it's just their own self-doubt. I've had people complain to me that I make them feel insecure with my body. And it's like, come on, me, oh yeah, I'm sitting here rocking 16-inch fucking arms, and I'm like 12%, no, I'm like 14% body fat. I'm making people feel bad about themselves. And it's like, you know, like, hard it really is to actually get to this physique. Though I could probably be. Here's the thing, guys. My physique right now, even though I've been training for about 2-ish years, I could have a way better physique. If I just stop being an idiot and I really put all my focus and attention into weightlifting, I would easily have a way better physique. I don't even doubt it. But the thing is, I do think other aspects of your life are equally as important. Developing social skills, number one. Just having a pristine amount of knowledge is number 2, and it's just doing things you enjoy, lifestyle orientation. Because it's like, I love playing this game. I love playing Smash Brothers. I love it to death. I don't want to trade it for the world. But I know some people may think like, oh, that's counterproductive, and it's like to a degree probably, but it's something I enjoy, and it's something that keeps me happy, and it doesn't really take away from my life because I can actually sit here and still give you a bunch of knowledge on fitness, and still enjoy things that I like doing. So I guess you could say this is my biggest poison, is I love playing this game. But anyways, that's the Q&A for you today, guys. I'll probably make a lot more of these because it's pretty fun, and I enjoy rambling a lot. So, yeah.